What's going on, guys? Welcome back to my Marathon Training 2 series. This week, we have a really interesting week to cover, mainly just because of some interesting aspects that I didn't really think about going into this week, and I want to really focus on those over others because I think it's something that you really need to keep in mind when you're planning your training or doing your training. So let's go ahead and not waste any time. Let's go ahead and jump on into it. Let's see how this week went. Welcome back to the channel, guys. This is episode 9 of my marathon training series, and I want to go ahead and start this week out with my quote of the week, and I want to get this out ahead in the beginning because I think it'll be important to keep in mind for, as we get into looking back at the week that we had, or I had. So my quote for this week is from one of my favorite book series of all time, Harry Potter. Specifically Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, or Philosopher's Stone if you're in the UK. But it comes from the Mirror of Erised chapter where Dumbledore tells Harry, "It does not do to dwell on dreams and forget to live." Now that sounds really dramatic, and I guess in a certain way it is very dramatic, but I think it fits my run this week, specifically as you'll see, my Sunday run, my really long run, which was a 20-mile run, and it's important to keep in mind before we jump in there that some of these things happen, and I think it can happen to anyone to the point of getting so caught up in the moment that you forget to look ahead and you forget that real life is going on around you. I've gotten so caught up, I think, in focusing on my training and making these videos and doing all of this other stuff that sometimes it's easy to overlook other aspects of your life that maybe aren't your hobbies or passions, like creative passions like making videos or writing for a blog or whatever. And so I think this week I had a really big wake-up call, at least on Saturday, I think it was, that I actually had the inspiration and the motivation in my mind to make this decision. But it does not do to dwell on dreams and forget to live. So I think in a certain aspect this week that I realized that there's some things that are more important than getting your run in, and I made the decision to actually skip my Sunday run. But we'll leave that there for now. I'll touch on it a little bit more as we look back. But without further ado, let's jump over to the calendar, take a look at my runs this week, my total stats, and we'll talk a little bit more about my plans for next week. So for this week, like every week, we had 4 runs that we were supposed to do. We'll kick it off with the Tuesday run. And once again, I'll recap that last week I was supposed to run a half marathon race, like official race. And so this week was set up a little bit more as a recovery week and then a long run at the end of the week. As you can see on the screen, and you'll see when we get there, I only ended up doing 3 of the runs this week, but we'll start out on Tuesday. Because I did try and run the half marathon last weekend, similar, as close to a race situation as I could, I did decide to take the 4-mile easy a little bit more literally. So I ran it slightly slower, 4.01 miles, just under 10 and a half minutes a mile, 10 minutes and 20 seconds per mile, with total time of about 41 and a half minutes running. Pretty solid. I felt pretty good. I was a little sore from the half, but I mean, all in all, it was a 4-mile run. Nice to get out and loosen up the legs a little bit and kind of just take it nice and easy. And then that can move us over into Thursday, where I really picked it up. 5 miles, 9 minutes and 47 seconds a mile, for a total of 49 minutes and 2 seconds. And you can see that my goal there was 5 miles in 55 minutes, so averaging about 11 minutes a mile was the goal. And I wanted to beat it. I wanted to get 5 miles in under 10 minutes, just because while the simulated half was as close as I could get it, it still was just me running 13 miles. So I wanted to start working on my speed a little bit more on these longer runs that don't have intervals. And so I decided to kick this one up and try and improve my time and my pace And it ended up going really well. I felt pretty smooth. I felt pretty floaty. It was one of those runs that I hadn't had in a while where I kind of was able to just lock in and just go. There was no thinking about pace. There was no thinking about how tired I was. It was just me. It's kind of the reason that I started running in the first place, and where you can kind of just switch your brain off. In my case, I listen to a lot of podcasts while I'm running, and so I was able to just like flip the switch in my mind and just really focus in on the podcast and just go instead of flipping back and forth. And so Thursday's run was really nice to do. It was the dream to just kind of just go, just get out there and just run and not really have to focus on anything in particular. So I really enjoyed Thursday's run. And then we have Saturday. The weekend is here. 4 miles, 10 minutes, a mile, 40 minutes total. It's about the same. I, at this point, was still planning on doing my Sunday run, and so I did want to take it a little bit slower than my Thursday run. So I did a nice, easy 4 miles at the pace that just felt comfortable. I didn't necessarily focus on slowing down, but I wanted to focus on just running at a pace that my body kind of wanted to run at. So 10 minutes a mile was about right, and that's kind of what it ended up being. And then, without further ado, no more beating around the bush. The focus of my quote of the week, Sunday, 20 miles. I was planning on doing it in the morning, getting out early like I normally do. But Saturday night, after talking with my girlfriend, we celebrated. Our anniversary is actually the 20th, or today, the day this is being uploaded. So we actually celebrated it on Sunday. And my plan was to still do the run, and then we would do something afterwards. But after talking with her on Saturday night, I kind of came to the realization that, there's some things that are more important than, getting your run in, just because you have a long run and it's your only real long run of the week. That doesn't necessarily mean that it should take precedent over celebrating something like your anniversary. So on Saturday night, I decided to not do the run. I had tentative plans to do it on Monday or today, the day this is being uploaded. But I kind of went back to this quote that I read and the thoughts that I had and said, and realized that it's okay. Just because you miss one, there are some things that are more important, and you don't have to feel bad about it. So I'm not necessarily going to make this up. I may make it up slightly in next week's long run, maybe push, as you can see, just below 14 miles. I may push that to 16 miles just to kind of get a little more mileage out. I do need to start picking up the miles on the weekends a little more. So I may just extend out my next couple of long runs if they're not too crazy and just kind of make it up that way. But I made the decision on Saturday night, Sunday morning that, spending time with my girlfriend, saying it out loud makes it seem a little more obvious. But I was planning it out on Saturday night with her. I was telling her that, I did my 16 miles in just about 3 hours. So, add another 4 miles, you're looking at another 40 to 50 minutes. So, I'm probably going to be gone, 3.5 to 3 hours and 45 minutes. And, when it's the day you're celebrating your anniversary, that can take up a big chunk of time. So saying it out loud makes it a little more obvious. But I decided to skip it. I'm not rating it because I didn't run, so I'm not going to rate it. There's no reason to rate it as a yellow or red because I missed it. And just because I didn't run it, so I'm just leaving it as a neutral, a true neutral, not even a rated neutral, but just a true neutral. So leaving that there, very content with that. Looking at our weekly stats, obviously a big step off because it was a bit of a lighter week because of the half marathon last weekend. But 13 miles, 10 minutes average, just over 2 hours total. Very easy. This week has become a rest week for me, so I am now looking forward to smashing this next week. I'm excited to get back into intervals again. And let's actually, without further ado, just go ahead and jump into looking ahead. Let me move down the screen here. But next week, we're going to go out. We're going to smash it. Tuesday, 5 miles, 10 by 1 minute on with 2 minutes off. These actually kill me. Not the most, but like the second most. So the one that kills me the most are the 2, 3 by 10, 15 minutes fast, because man, those longer distances fast can absolutely kill me. But 10 intervals of 1 minute on, 2 minutes off, man, those like stop and goes can be rough, especially when you also have to keep in mind the mental aspect of keeping track of 1 minute on, all right, now 2 minutes off, all right, now 1 minute on, now 2 minutes off. So those can be a lot of fun. I'm really going to try and push my speed training on this one. I'm really going to try and max out when it comes to these intervals, and then really focus on. So I'm going to start out extra slow and warm up, and then cool down extra slow. But in that middle, I really want to smash it. So that's what I'm going to be focusing on Tuesday. And then moving to Thursday, thankfully, because of how hard I plan on hitting the Tuesday run, we'll do a 4-mile quick run, which at this point is almost just like a recovery run. So I'm looking forward to that. And I'm actually noticing here that I don't have anything marked for Saturday. That doesn't sound right. Give me 1 second. And voila, I've fixed it. I guess I accidentally had deleted this at some point, and so I actually went back to the website resource and found it. So I am supposed to do something. Shame, but it's just 3 miles easy. It'll be nice. It's Saturday morning. I feel like I say this every week, but Saturday morning runs are, the easiest runs of the week. So there's not really a whole lot to say when it comes to these. And then Sunday, like I mentioned, I may extend this out to maybe 16 miles, and just to kind of make up for mileage wise over time. So as it's currently scheduled, 14 miles at about 11 minutes per mile. Hopefully they wanted you to finish about 140 minutes, a little over 2 hours. I've always used these as a minimum. So I'm going to try and focus on getting my speed up consistently on my long runs as well. So not only just getting my speed up for my shorter runs, but also for my longer runs. Nothing drastic to the point of failure, but just slightly, just focusing on trying to find that next logical or natural speed. So I think over the past couple of weeks, it's usually been somewhere between 10.5 to 11 minutes per mile. I want to try and get it so it's consistently towards 10.5 minutes per mile on these longer runs, just to kind of find that next natural groove that I can settle myself into, but still be able to do the runs. These runs have always been a goal of doing them nonstop. And so finding that next gear, or that next natural running speed is going to be important for me as I continue to try and get my times down for these longer runs. But that's going to be for next week. I'm looking forward to getting back on the saddle. I feel refreshed from this week. It was nice to kind of have an easier week and then be able to celebrate my anniversary this past weekend. So I'm more motivated than ever to get back into enjoying these and making the gains that I've been making, as well as, enjoying every moment of it. So we'll send it back to the desk now, and then we'll wrap this episode up. Well, guys, that's going to wrap up episode 9 for me. I know that this was kind of becoming a theme of, missing runs, but for the most part, I think I've taken away something from each of them, and this past weekend has kind of reminded me that, there is life outside of doing these runs and making these videos, and that I still also need to spend as much mental capacity on as well. But that's going to do it for me for this week. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please consider giving it a like rating. It really helps me out, and I always enjoy knowing that, you enjoyed it. If you want to keep up with these videos, I release them every Monday, so subscribe below if you want to keep up with my training, and as well as I would love to hear about what you guys have going on in your lives and your training. So leave a comment down below, and I'd love to get some discussion going on, the differences in training styles, about, what races you're training for, if you're just running for fun. So leave a comment down below, and I'd love to get a discussion going. But like I said, that's going to wrap it up for me here on episode 9. I hope you guys have a great week. Go out and smash it, and we'll see you next week.